person, and the people following the way of the human instruction, then they're going to become undefeatable. They don't even need weapons against other countries, as long as everybody knows how the system works, and everybody knows their position, or they also, find out what's the best in their position, and not putting people in certain positions that don't belong there just because their daddy was some, or they don't know that they wasn't even educated correctly as to how to become a good leader where the people love you, as opposed with being a greedy leader where you just want to rob and steal all the food from the people when they're hungry, and you give them no work, and then you structure a society where people end up hating you, because then you have the have and have-nots, and then you just get another negative ruler, then there's another war, somebody else defeats them, somebody else in charge, another negative ruler, following all the same system, regurgitating, destroying, hating, shedding blood of innocent children and women and men and everyone. So the preemptive strikes allows anybody for any reason to attack anybody, including war. Now there's negative jokes where people tell jokes to insult you. Of course, this versus that, in which you get this race versus that race. Or they say race. That's another subject we got to get into, but they'll say this person versus that person, black versus white, fat versus skinny, gay versus straight, green eyes versus blue eyes, tall versus short. Getting people to hate just for hate's sake, not understanding the character of each individual. And then even when you're living with somebody and you think they're working with you, but they're working against you. So you want the door open, what do? They leave it closed. When you go out the house real quick and you just going to check on your car, they'll lock your door. Some people even change the lock on the doors to say, and then when you go, you're angry and you might break the door down, and they say, "Oh, I changed the lock. I just didn't give you a key." And they say, "Why would you do that and not tell me?" So you want the door open because you just went out. They'll lock it. You have the key, and they'll try to reverse it on you, make it look like you're the bad guy. In other words, they'll deliberately leave the door unlocked while they leave, hoping you do what they did to them and lock the door. So then they say, "Oh, well, you're guilty too." See, this is how they do that, to make it look like you're as guilty as they are, as to say, "Oh, well, I'm not holier than thou," meaning that saying that you're holier than thou, and that wasn't the subject. The subject was that you did this. You saw me leave and you locked the door on me, and then they would leave hoping you locked the door on them. But depending if, just like step out of the house for a second to check the mail perhaps or whatever. But they would do that unconsciously. They would say unconsciously, but they would hope you do it reverse. So then they would be like, "Well, see, you're as bad as I am." But if you're smart and they leave, don't lock the door, because that shows that you were not like them. And so if you want the door closed, they want it open. You want it open, they want it to be closed. You want it hotter, they want it colder. You want it colder, they want it hotter. You say this is good, they say it's bad. If you are patient, they become impatient. And that's unbalanced. So, you're a very patient person, and then you find a girl you like, and some people are just so hot and heavy horny that they're willing to put up with all this agitation, all this jive that isn't worth your problem, because these people are just going to cause you more problems. Then in the end, they're going to be like, "Well, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want that." And that's all it was. It was all about take. And it was never about give and share, nor were they consistent over time, nor were they ever good people. They may have acted like they were good people, but over time, when they show their true colors, it doesn't mean you got to be like them, because then you know the game. By that time, you'll be like, "Oh, okay, just stay quiet," because they're going to argue for the sake of arguing. In my younger years, when I was learning the process, I would argue back. But now I'll be like, the minute they start acting stupid, I won't even raise my blood pressure one bit. I'm just done. I'll just look at them and smile and know the game. I'll do IQ and C back. I'll play the indirect language, which they know, and I won't do it hurtful. I'll be kind about it. And they'll tell you everyone hates you. When it's not everyone, it's only a group of people that banded together that say they hate you, not because you did something wrong, but because you're not following that hate line that they have, in which they hurt others, so they want you to hurt others so you can join their clique. But you don't hate others like they hate others, so now you're the bad guy, so you're out of the clique. So they'll be nice, they love bomb each other or try to be nice to each other, but really there is no love and good to share within them. So they're just sharing this mediocre form of understanding where they're never truly happy. And you're better off eating some spices by yourself than having a banquet with many people. If the many people are evil, you're better off having the spices in a little bit of warm water, just drinking it by yourself. You have a much better time than having it with a group of people who are evil and doing these negative things, and they think they're slick by being, well, we're gonna show each other love or sex, not love, lust. They show each other lust and behind the wall, behind the curtains, and then when they come to you, they despise you and reject you. But then they try to smirk as to say, well, see, we're all band together. But we're never band together by your energy. So you're never really truly friends. They were only trying to click together for the one purpose is to show, to make believe like they're better than you or we're having a better time than you when they don't even possess the energy of being. But lying and deceiving themselves within that, because you can see their children in their family, you can see how they interact with one another, and it's not love. It's not good. And so they could even use your straw man. The straw man was basically how the laws work. It's technically not you, but the paper form of you or the imaginary form of you. Or even like when they throw somebody in jail for 300 years, you know, whether you did it or not, the 300 years, you're never going to put 300 years in a physical prison. But that's just your straw man. They just got to make it look, on paper, that's what you were supposed to get. But it's your straw man. So they're saying this, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. And a lot of times they're not going by truth, and they use that in their laws or their if you look it up, it's a science to it, and you can see the whole thing, how every person's a company and so forth. But they're projecting on these, how everybody's a corporation and the laws about driving. You'll see that sometime in the YouTube videos. But if you look up the whole structure of the straw man idea, it'll show you how, you got to write your name in all caps as a business and how businesses run and how each person's a corporation. And it goes, there's a lot of knowledge to it. You don't necessarily got to know everything. You could probably, glance through it a couple of times. It's pretty good. Understanding this whole rule of being a citizen, and which most people, probably all, like 99% of the people don't even know it exists, but it's how things are run in that perspective. Like when you're in a boat, they'll have the flag and they'll put the yellow perimeter around it. And it'll take too long to talk about, but you can look it up. I'm sure somebody has a good understanding of the whole system and how it works, how a judge might not have the moral authority to judge you, and because there's a lot of crooked judges. There's judges out there that shouldn't even be on the bench, and they're claiming that they have moral authority to put you away, but they don't have the moral authority over themselves or over an ant or over anything. They're just wicked, and there's no reason they should be there, but they follow a lot of secret orders, or in which they say, well, just throw the book at them. Corruptible people. Oh, here's a couple of dollars, lean on this guy or whatever. some people just straight out name call you when they don't get their way. They're just running out of things to do, so they just start calling you names. Generally, I'm opposed to name calling, and not me, but the human instructions. You're better off saying, what's the problem? Instead of saying, he's rude, say, well, this person did this behavior. Because if you're just saying he's rude, that leaves a lot of ambiguous reasoning and logic and assumptions as to, well, why was that person rude? How was that person rude? And you can find many times it's nothing more than a negative person projecting their erroneous perception on you because of their own lack of excelling, because they choose to follow a negative path. So they're projecting themselves, their negative selves, onto another person because they know they could do better, but they're falling short because of their own lack of understanding. So when they when they don't get their way, or they want to irritate with you, so they call you M and F in this or M and F in that, and the M and F in is irrelevant. Why? What's wrong? Get to the point. Forget about MF. What's the point? Why are you saying that? Oh, well, this person did this to my cousin, or this person did this, and then you would then find you're better off finding something that to instill the peace within you, because that person is going to get theirs regardless. You said there's no reason to do all that other stuff. Again, following the bouncing ball, the human instruction will reveal as we continue on. So some people, what they call limbo time, they say they will see you later but never show up. Or I'll come up on this time and they never come. Nor do they show up later and apologize, nor do they call when they can't make it. And some people just not do it all together, and then maybe see you a month later and not say nothing, and say, what happened like last month? You said you was going to see me and you never showed up. They're like, oh, I don't know, I don't remember that. And they distinctly said they was going to come see you, or they was going to call you, or they was going to send you something, or they was going to do something, but they do none of that. Nor do they come back later saying, oh, you know what, I can't make it at this time. None of that. They leave you in limbo. They'll just say, I'll send you this, and it never comes. I'll do this, they never do it. I'll show up, never show up. They're better off saying they're not going to show up and show up than to say they're going to show up and not show up. And there are those who say they'll see you on Tuesday and they'll come up Friday. Hey, I'm here. You said Tuesday. And they show up Friday. And you'd be like, look, I got the paperwork right here. They'll write the wrong dates on the paperwork. They gang up on you. Just saying might is right, not right is right. The last word is right, not the last right words or the last right action is right. They'll discredit you and lie about themselves. You're untrustworthy and they're trustworthy. Well, the opposite is true. Refusing to answer your questions, but demand you answer theirs. And then there are those who just don't want to answer, which, depending if, like in a court of law, they plead the fifth. But that's if they don't want to discriminate themselves. But some people will just say, instead of saying pleading the fifth, which is more honest, they will say, I don't know, I don't remember, I forgot. Always the same thing. Hey, blah, blah, blah. How do you respond to that? I don't know, I don't remember, I forgot. So then you go back to them later. You have proof of everything. So then if they know you recorded it, some of them will be like, I don't know, I don't remember, I forgot, because you have it right there. But if they know you didn't record it, they'll be like, nah, that didn't happen. Because now it's just, they'll consider it hearsay. And they love hearsay, even though they might remember it. or they might have recorded it to actually give you a play-by-play book as to the way it was in perfect detail, but it's all a lie because they recorded it so they could lie in such a way to make it look right. But then usually they describe things the way they're not because they have to in order to show how they came up to that conclusion to be negative towards you. So, again, and they interrupt you. They like to just break your law or break the laws towards you. But if you break a law towards them, they have all the right. They have all the Constitution's on their side. Everything is good to protect them, but they want nothing to protect you. And as to say, they can get angry at you even if it's wrong or lies or deception, but you can't get angry at them for any reason. So if you're suppose you're subletting an apartment or renting something from them, some of them, it's not everybody again, but it's just these negative people that are stuck on this on ignorant dial. Well, they'll be like, well, they could throw you out, but if you come to their house and say, hey, you, didn't you throw somebody else out over there for no reason? We're going to throw you out right now. Get out. Get your stuff and get out. No, we'll give you a month. You get, whenever you want, you can leave or whatever. No, just get your stuff and get out. Now, if you go to them, hey, get your stuff and get out, then they're going to be mad and angry. But it was right when you did it. It's all hypocrisy. Again, covet, and it's all a game of hypocrisy. They want to dominate the conversation or always stay quiet too. There's some people that always stay quiet and never say a word. Now some people become afraid because they become manipulated so much that they don't know how the game works, so they're always quiet. So they become introverts out of fear that when they talk somebody's going to put them down. And some people who are extroverts because they try to stay out of anxiety, but then they can keep talking and over-talking, which creates more anxiety from them, thinking sometimes that if they keep talking that it will help them with their anxiety when it's actually the opposite. So some people want to dominate the conversation by either talking too much or not talking at all. Which is okay by me, depending on what who you are. You would know how to go or find a peaceful solution in any direction that they choose, which is all right by you. But not for another negative person, because another negative person will be like, I don't want to work with that guy. He never said anything. He thinks he's the boss. He's always doing stuff without asking me. If I ask him to do something, he'll say, no, it's another way he wants to do it, or she, depending on the situation. So they're thinking that they're their superior. They're thinking they're your superior, and which makes they're trying to belittle you, actually telling you that you're inferior, as opposed to say, well, we are in this together. We're in the spirit of cooperation and logic and reasoning. So they treat you bad as. But again, they are destroyed if you treat them bad the same way. They hate you, and they're hoping that they can get you to hate them so they can just justify if you become irrational, and uses emotion or over emotion or violence to make a point as to say something's right, as opposed to logic or leaning towards logic, but using their position or their anger or their rage to say, I'm right, you're wrong, regardless of who exactly is right, or if they're in the wrong, which usually is the case with such people. So by your own solution, you are your best friend or your worst enemy, either by staying calm or quickly attacking them, so they can justify in attacking you back. So even with countries, when somebody does something wrong, you are better off just exposing what they did and going into solution mode, as opposed to immediately trying to attack them back. So the facts can happen at one point, and they use the facts in order to change around history. It's called half truths. So they're using that to imply or conspire into something that had happened that didn't happen, and if you try to set forth corrective measures, they might consider you a conspiracist, or they continue to harangue and harass you, in which they would do odd things in order for you to get a feeling of paranoia. So it's a group of people that are acting suspiciously around you to get you to believe that they're actually going to kill you. Now,